She was born different. You won't believe these 10 real women actually exist. Have you ever seen someone so unique that you couldn't look away? Not because of beauty in the traditional sense, but because their very existence defies everything we thought was normal. These are women born without arms, women with the world's longest necks, women covered in hair from head to toe, women who lost limbs, yet refused to lose themselves. Society tried to shame them, hide them, even turn them into spectacles, but they turned their differences into power. Before we begin this jaw-dropping countdown, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because on Legends of Black Excellence, we celebrate the fearless, the rare, and the unforgettable. Mama Cax. Mama Cax, born Caxmi Brutus in 1989 in Haiti, was diagnosed with bone cancer at just 14 years old. To save her life, doctors had to amputate her right leg, and she endured over 7 major surgeries and months of chemotherapy. Most people would hide their prosthetic limb, but she did the opposite. She decorated it with bold patterns, bright colors, and metallic designs, turning it into a fashion statement. Instead of letting her difference make her invisible, she made it unforgettable. Her journey was never about fitting in. It was about reclaiming power over her own body and forcing the world to expand its definition of beauty. In the fashion industry, perfection once meant tall, thin, flawless, and able-bodied. A black woman with a prosthetic leg wasn't supposed to be on a runway. Yet Mama Cax broke through every barrier. In 2017, she signed with Jag Models and became one of the first high-fashion models with a visible disability. She walked in New York Fashion Week, appeared in campaigns for ASOS, Tommy Hilfiger, Aerie, and Rihanna's Savage X Fenty, and even graced the cover of Teen Vogue in 2019. She wasn't hired just to check a diversity box. She was magnetic, confident, and impossible to ignore. With every step on the runway, she reminded the world that beauty does not require symmetry or perfection. Mama Cax was more than a model. She was a revolution. She used her platform to advocate for disability representation, body positivity, women of color, and immigrants. She gave speeches at the United Nations about accessibility and inclusion. On social media, she refused to retouch her scars, stretch marks, or prosthetic leg, inspiring millions who felt unseen. She didn't want society to simply praise her strength. She wanted systems to change. She opened the doors so other unconventional models like Erin Phillip and Jillian Mercado could enter the industry with pride rather than apology. In December 2019, at just 30 years old, Mama Cax passed away from blood clot complications after a trip to London. The fashion world mourned deeply. Designers, celebrities, and activists from around the globe paid tribute to her legacy. But her impact didn't end there. After her death, more brands began casting models with disabilities and celebrating visible differences on the runway. Savage X Fenty continued to honor her influence by featuring amputee models in major shows. Mama Cax proved that a woman born or made different could change an entire industry. She didn't just survive. She transformed pain into power and turned uniqueness into a legacy that still reshapes beauty today. Caitlin Dobrow. Caitlin Dobrow was only 18 when her life changed in the most devastating way. In 2013, she was struck by a rare and aggressive case of bacterial meningitis, a fast-spreading infection that nearly killed her within days. Doctors fought to save her life, but the infection caused severe tissue damage, forcing them to amputate both of her arms and both of her legs. Most people would have given up. Caitlin had to relearn everything: eating, moving, getting dressed, and the emotional pain was just as heavy as the physical loss. But instead of letting tragedy define her, she made a bold decision she would not hide. She would rebuild her life on her own terms. Her secret weapon became makeup. Something small and personal turned into her form of therapy. Using prosthetic hooks and adaptive tools, she spent hours teaching herself to apply foundation eyeliner, even false lashes without hands. What started privately slowly became public. In 2017, she began posting makeup tutorials on YouTube and Instagram to prove that disability does not mean the end of self-expression. People were stunned. Her videos weren't just about beauty. They were about resilience, self-worth, and confidence. Her authenticity attracted massive attention, and by 2019 she had over 229,000 YouTube subscribers and more than 103,000 Instagram followers, making her one of the most influential disabled beauty creators online. But Caitlyn didn't stop at tutorials. She used her platform to talk about accessibility, mental health, and the importance of representation. She spoke openly about depression prosthetics and the challenges of navigating a world built for able-bodied people. Instead of hiding her limbs, she showed them proudly. She became a motivational speaker, encouraging others with disabilities to chase their passions, not their limitations. Her message was clear. Beauty isn't about perfection, it's about confidence, creativity, and courage. That message resonated with millions worldwide. Caitlyn Dobrow turned the greatest loss of her life into her greatest victory. She is living proof that strength is not the absence of pain, it's the decision to rise anyway. She didn't just learn to survive without arms and legs. She learned to shine brighter than ever. Her story forces us to ask, if someone who lost everything can still find purpose and confidence, what's our excuse for holding back? Carmen Smith. Carmen Smith was diagnosed with inherited lymphedema when she was just 3 years old, a rare condition where the body cannot properly drain lymph fluid, causing extreme swelling in the legs, ankles, and feet. While most children ran and played freely, Carmen struggled to walk without discomfort. She couldn't wear normal shoes, and flip-flops were often the only thing that fit. Growing up, people stared. Some made cruel comments. She learned early that the world wasn't always kind to bodies that looked different. She began hiding her legs under long clothing and avoided taking photos. But deep down, she was tired of shrinking herself just to make others comfortable. Instead of continuing to hide, Carmen made a life-changing decision. She would take back the narrative. She started posting honestly on Instagram, showing her swollen legs without filters, without shame. At first, people were shocked. Then something powerful happened. Thousands of women with body insecurities began to relate to her courage. Carmen started posing in bikinis, dresses, and even lingerie, refusing to let society dictate what was acceptable. She used hashtags like #lymphedema-warrior and #beauty-in-truth to build a global community. Her posts weren't glamorous. They were raw, real, and unapologetic, and that authenticity made her stand out in a world obsessed with perfection. As her platform grew to over 48,000 followers, Carmen became more than just an influencer. She became an advocate. She educated people about lymphedema, talked about compression therapy, lifestyle changes, and the mental toll of chronic illness. She reminded her audience that beauty isn't just smooth skin and symmetry, it's resilience, honesty, and self-love. She spoke openly about bad days when pain made it hard to move, or when insecurities tried to creep back in. But she always came back stronger, proving that vulnerability can be a form of power. Carmen Smith didn't change her body to fit society. She changed society's view of bodies like hers. By showing the world her flaws, she taught others to embrace their own. She turned what once made her feel isolated into the very thing that made her influential. Today, Carmen is not just a woman with lymphedema. She is a symbol of confidence, visibility, and fearless authenticity. Her story asks us one bold question. If she can love the parts of herself the world told her to hide, why can't we? Kayan people Padang. The Kayan people, also known as the Padaong or Kayan Lahwi, are one of the most visually striking ethnic groups in the world, famous for their long neck women. Originally from the Kayan and Shan states of Myanmar, many fled to northern Thailand during political conflict in the 1980s and 1990s. Today, only around 600 women still live in special tourist villages in Thailand, where their unique appearance has become both a cultural symbol and a global attraction. What makes them different is a tradition that begins when girls are as young as 5 years old. They start wearing brass neck coils, which are slowly increased over time. Contrary to myth, the coils do not actually stretch the neck, but instead push down the collarbones and compress the rib cage, creating the illusion of an impossibly long neck, sometimes up to 15 inches in appearance. The reasons behind this tradition are mysterious and debated. Some say it's a symbol of beauty, as a long neck is considered elegant among the Kayan. Others believe it originally served as protection from tiger attacks, shielding the neck from bites. There are also legends that link the coils to mythical dragons, sacred creatures in Kayan folklore, and that women were made to resemble them. For generations, the coils were worn with pride and tied deeply to identity status and cultural belonging. Girls often felt special and honored to wear them. However, modernization in Myanmar caused many younger women to abandon the tradition, saying it was painful, heavy, and outdated. In Thailand, the tradition didn't fade, it exploded. Tourism companies realized that visitors would pay to see the giraffe women turning their villages into human attractions. Women posed for photos, sold handmade crafts, and became living symbols of exotic beauty. But this sparked major controversy. Human rights groups argued that some women were not allowed to leave the villages, were denied access to proper education or health care, and were kept there because the coils made them too valuable for tourism. Some critics called it a human zoo. Others argued that the income from tourism helped preserve their culture and provided financial support when no other options were available. Today, the Kayan long neck tradition remains one of the most fascinating and controversial cultural practices on Earth. It raises powerful questions about beauty, identity, exploitation, and pride. Are these women preserving a sacred tradition or being trapped by it? And in a modern world where individuality is celebrated, should ancient beauty customs survive or evolve? Clementine. Clementine's life changed forever when she was just 4 years old. While playing in the kitchen, she accidentally fell into a fire and the flames severely burned her face, scalp, and upper body. The injuries were so extreme that doctors had to remove the first layer of her facial skin and even take out part of her forehead bone. Her eye socket was damaged, forcing surgeons to use skin from her arm to rebuild the area around her eye. For years, she went to the hospital twice every week, enduring countless treatments, surgeries, and unbearable pain. She suffered constant migraines, which made it nearly impossible to concentrate in school. At one point, she almost dropped out of education entirely, not because she lacked intelligence, but because her body was in constant agony. But the physical pain was only half the battle. Society can be far crueler than fire. Clementine was bullied relentlessly growing up. Children and even adults would avoid her or compare her to an animal. No one saw her heart, only her scars. She never dated, never experienced romantic love, and spent years believing she was unworthy of affection. Imagine being so young and being told through words and actions that you are too ugly to be loved. The emotional wounds were deeper than the burns. Yet even with all this trauma, Clementine refused to let the world break her spirit. Instead of hiding, she slowly began to rebuild her confidence. She taught herself to look in the mirror without fear. She surrounded herself with supportive friends and mentors who saw her strength, not just her scars. Over time, she realized that survival alone made her powerful. Every scar told a story of endurance, courage, and rebirth. While society worships flawless beauty, Clementine represents real beauty, one that is earned through pain and resilience, not makeup and filters. She may not fit the world's definition of perfect, but she embodies something far greater: authenticity. Today, Clementine dreams of becoming a professional accountant, not because it's glamorous, but because she wants a stable career built by her own determination. She no longer hides from the world. She speaks openly about her journey, inspiring others with burns, disabilities, or insecurities to believe in themselves. Clementine proves that being born different or becoming different does not make you broken. It makes you unforgettable. Her story forces us to ask, if she can rise from fire and still choose self-love, what excuse do we have for doubting ourselves? Lizzie Velasquez. Lizzie Velasquez was born in 1989 with an extremely rare genetic disorder called Marfanoid progeroid lipodystrophy syndrome, a condition so rare that only a handful of people in the world have it. This disorder prevents her from storing body fat or gaining weight regardless of how much she eats. Her body cannot build muscle properly. She has vision in only one eye, and her facial structure developed differently from others. At birth, she weighed just 2 pounds, 11 ounces, and even as an adult, she has never weighed more than 60 pounds, 27 kilos. Doctors told her parents she would never walk, talk, or live a normal life, but Lizzie proved them all wrong. Growing up, Lizzie faced extreme bullying. Kids were afraid of her, stared at her, or ran away. But the worst moment came as a teenager when someone uploaded a YouTube video of her without her consent, titled "The World's Ugliest Woman." The comments were horrific. Strangers told her to kill herself to never show her face again. That video could have destroyed her, but instead it ignited a fire. Lizzie made a decision. If the world is going to stare at me, I'm going to give them something worth staring at. She turned pain into purpose and stepped into the spotlight on her own terms. Lizzie became a motivational speaker, author, and anti-bullying activist. Her TEDx talk titled "How Do You Define Yourself" has over 15 million views and is considered one of the most inspirational speeches on the internet. She has written multiple books, appeared on major TV shows, and even helped pass federal anti-bullying legislation in the United States. She uses humor, honesty, and raw emotion to help people see that true beauty comes from character, not appearance. Instead of hiding her condition, she shows it proudly and says, "My life is not about what I look like. It's about what I can give to the world." Today, Lizzie is one of the most powerful voices in the fight against online hate. She turned a disorder that could have isolated her into a global platform of hope. She didn't let society label her, she rewrote the label entirely. Her story is a reminder that the world might try to define you by your appearance, your flaws, or your limitations. But the real power comes when you define yourself. Melissa Blake. Melissa Blake was born in 1981 with Freeman-Sheldon syndrome, a rare genetic bone and muscle disorder that affects fewer than 1 in 1,000 people. This condition causes facial differences, joint contractures, and severe mobility challenges. Throughout her life, Melissa has undergone more than 25 surgeries, including procedures on her spine joints and facial structure. Walking, moving, or even performing basic daily tasks was never easy. But the deepest pain didn't come from her body. It came from how society treated her. People stared, mocked her, or spoke to her as if she wasn't intelligent simply because she looked different. But Melissa had something they didn't expect: a brilliant voice and unstoppable mind. She pursued journalism, earned her degree from Northern Illinois University, and began writing professionally. From 2005 to 2010, she wrote a weekly newspaper column covering life, relationships, and pop culture. In 2008, she launched her blog, So About What I Said, where she shared powerful stories about disability, dating, and self-acceptance with honesty and humor. Her writing was so compelling that it caught national attention, leading her to be published in The New York Times, The Washington Post, CNN Opinion, Glamour Cosmopolitan, and Good Housekeeping. She became a leading voice in disability rights, using storytelling as activism. But her biggest viral moment came in 2019 when trolls online attacked her appearance and said she was too ugly to post selfies. Instead of hiding, Melissa clapped back in the most iconic way. She posted a selfie every single day with the hashtag #MyBestSelfie. The internet exploded with support. Thousands of people shared their own selfies, declaring that self-love is the strongest rebellion against hate. This movement turned Melissa into a global symbol of body positivity and disability pride. She proved that beauty isn't about symmetry, it's about confidence, presence, and owning your story. In March 2024, she released her book, Beautiful People: My 13 Truths About Disability, exposing the everyday challenges of ableism and how society tries to define disabled individuals. The book won an Alex Award in early 2025, honoring its impact on young adults and the disability community. Today, Melissa Blake is more than a writer. She is a trailblazer who shattered stereotypes. She didn't let a rare disorder silence her. Instead, she became the loudest, boldest, most authentic version of herself. Her legacy is clear. Your body may be different, but your voice can change the world. Molly Duong D. Molly Duong D, often referred to as Molly or Molly D, was once recognized as the tallest woman in Thailand and even briefly held a Guinness World Record title. She was born with a pituitary gland tumor, a condition that caused her body to produce excessive growth hormone, leading to extreme gigantism. While the average woman in Thailand stands around 5 feet 2 inches 157 centimeters, Molly grew to an astonishing 212 centimeters 6 feet 11 inches by her late teens, making her one of the tallest women ever recorded in modern history. Her height brought global attention, but it also came with severe physical challenges: joint pain, spinal problems, poor eyesight, breathing difficulties, and heart complications, all caused by the pressure of her rapidly growing body. Despite her struggles, Molly remained kind, humble, and gentle. She lived in Trat Province, Thailand, where locals respected and cared for her. Because of her health, she could not attend school regularly or work a traditional job, so the community often donated money to help cover her medical expenses. Molly dreamed of living a normal life, wearing regular clothes, walking without pain, and simply being seen as more than a giant. But her condition made everyday tasks difficult. Even sitting or standing for long periods was painful. Still, she never complained. Her quiet strength made her beloved by everyone who met her. As she grew older, her condition worsened. Gigantism puts enormous pressure on the heart, and Molly began suffering from serious heart issues and difficulty sleeping. Doctors tried to help, but treatment was limited due to financial constraints and the rarity of her condition. On November 20th, 2016, at just 24 years old, Molly tragically passed away from heart failure at a local hospital. Her death broke the hearts of those who knew her and served as a painful reminder of how brutal gigantism can be on the human body. She never got to live the normal life she dreamed of, but she left a lasting impression on the world. Today, Molly Duong D is remembered not just for her record-breaking height, but for her courage, kindness, and quiet resilience. She faced unimaginable physical pain and still remained gentle and hopeful. Her story raises an important question. Why does society often marvel at rare bodies but forget to care for the people inside them? Molly may have been different, but she was also deeply human, and that is what makes her unforgettable. Supatra Sasaphan. Supatra Nati Sasaphan, born in Thailand in 2000, holds one of the most extraordinary records in the world. She was officially recognized by Guinness World Records in 2010 as the world's hairiest girl. She was born with Ambrose syndrome, also known as werewolf syndrome, an extremely rare genetic condition that causes excessive hair growth all over the body, including the face, arms, ears, and back. This condition is so rare that fewer than 50 documented cases exist in all of medical history. While other children worried about school or friends, Supatra was fighting something much deeper, being treated like a monster because of how she looked. Growing up, life was brutal. Children pointed, laughed, and ran away from her. Some called her monkey wolf or even freak. She was constantly stared at in public, and strangers took photos of her without permission. The bullying was so cruel that it affected her mental health and confidence. Yet despite this, Supatra had a loving family who supported her unconditionally. They taught her to speak up, be proud of who she is, and never let ignorance define her worth. Instead of hiding, she started participating in school activities, singing, dancing, and performing, proving she was more than her appearance. As she got older, Supatra did something incredibly brave. She embraced her uniqueness. When Guinness World Records contacted her, she didn't shy away. She stepped into the spotlight. That moment changed everything. Instead of being mocked, she became celebrated worldwide. People from different countries reached out with love and support. She began doing interviews, sharing her journey and inspiring others to accept their differences. Her confidence was contagious. Supatra even said, "I'm happy to be me. I'm used to this and it makes me special." In her teenage years, Supatra surprised the world again. She found love and got married. Her husband accepted her completely, proving that real love sees the soul, not the surface. Supatra's story destroys the lie that beauty has only one form. She didn't change herself to fit society. Instead, she made society change the way it sees beauty. Supatra Sassophon is living proof that being different isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. She went from being bullied as the world's hairiest girl to becoming a global symbol of self-love and resilience. And today, her story forces us to reflect on a powerful truth. If she can love herself in a world that tried to shame her, why can't we? Tatiana McFadden. Tatiana McFadden was born in 1989 in St. Petersburg, Russia, with spina bifida, a condition that left her paralyzed from the waist down. As a child, she lived in a Russian orphanage that had no wheelchairs, forcing her to walk, using only her hands just to move across the floor. She had no medical treatment, no mobility support, and slept on a wooden board. Most children in her condition would not have survived, but Tatiana was a fighter from birth. At age 6, her life changed forever when she was adopted by Deborah McFadden, an American woman who worked in disability rights. Deborah saw not a disability, but limitless potential. In the United States, Tatiana received medical care, physical therapy, and most importantly, opportunity. Her adoptive mother encouraged her to try sports to build strength. The moment Tatiana sat in a racing wheelchair, everything clicked. What began as exercise soon turned into pure passion. She started competing, winning, and dominating. By the time she was a teenager, she was already a world champion. Tatiana went on to become one of the greatest Paralympic athletes in history, winning 17 Paralympic medals, including 7 gold across 5 different games. She holds multiple world records in wheelchair racing and is the only athlete ever to win the Grand Slam of marathons, Boston, Chicago, London, and New York in the same year, and she did it 4 times. But Tatiana is more than an athlete, she is a game changer. In high school, she was banned from racing alongside able-bodied athletes because her wheelchair was considered an unfair advantage. Instead of backing down, she sued the state of Maryland and won. This landmark case created the Tatiana Law, which requires schools across the U.S. to allow students with disabilities to compete in school sports. She didn't just win medals, she changed the law to make sports more inclusive for millions of children. Today, Tatiana is not only a 17-time Paralympic medalist, but also a disability rights advocate, speaker, and role model. She continues to compete, inspire, and fight for accessibility and equality worldwide. From crawling on the floor of an orphanage to dominating global stadiums, her journey is the definition of impossible turned unstoppable. Tatiana McFadden didn't just overcome disability, she destroyed every limit placed on her and rewrote what strength looks like. Her story proves that champions aren't born in perfect conditions. They're built through courage, pain, and relentless belief in themselves. Uljana Semjonova. Uljana Semyonova, born in 1952 in Latvia, then part of the Soviet Union, is one of the most extraordinary athletes in history, not just for her talent, but for her mind-blowing physical presence. Standing at an incredible 7 feet tall, 213 cm, and wearing size 21 shoes, she was the tallest and most dominant woman in international basketball history. On the court, she was unstoppable. Opponents couldn't shoot over her, pass around her, or rebound against her. During the 1970s and 1980s, she led the Soviet Union women's basketball team to 2 Olympic gold medals, 1976, 1980, 3 world championships, and 10 European championships. Even more shocking, she never lost a single international game in her entire career. But her journey was not just about height. It was about power, discipline, and legend-level skill. Semjonova could score rebound block shots and dominate physically in a way the women's game had never seen before. She was the first woman in Europe to dunk in warm-ups, and was so feared that teams built entire strategies just to slow her down. She earned the nickname the Gentle Giant because despite her intimidating size, she was known for her kindness and humility off the court. Coaches and teammates often said she had the spirit of a warrior and the heart of a protector. After dominating Europe, she helped transform the global perception of women's sports. In 1993, she became the first non-American woman inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, and in 1999 she was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Even decades after retiring, analysts still call her the most dominant female basketball player of all time. Her size was rare, but her work ethic and leadership were what made her unstoppable. She proved that being different physically wasn't a disadvantage, it was her greatest weapon. However, her height also came with challenges. As she aged, she suffered from joint problems, mobility issues, and health complications caused by her enormous frame. Despite the pain, she never complained. She remained active in promoting sports for youth and encouraging tall girls to embrace their bodies with pride. Yuljana Semjonova wasn't just tall, she stood above the sport itself. Her story is a powerful reminder. Being born different can make you legendary if you're brave enough to own it. Zoe Bosanic. Zoe Bosanic was born without both arms, a condition that would make most people completely dependent on others for the rest of their lives. But from the moment she could move, Zoe refused to accept limits. Instead of using hands, she learned to do everything with her feet, writing, eating, brushing her hair, even helping her mom in the kitchen. She trained her toes with the precision most people have in their fingers. What others saw as a disability, she treated as a unique challenge. Her determination shocked everyone around her, proving that independence isn't about having the same abilities as others, it's about creativity and willpower. But Zoe didn't stop at daily tasks. She pushed herself into places no one expected: sports. Despite having no arms, she joined a baseball team, one of the most hand-dependent sports on earth. She swings the bat with her legs. She throws the ball with her feet. She runs the bases fearlessly. Coaches and teammates were stunned, not out of pity, but out of pure respect. Her athletic ability went viral, inspiring thousands around the world. Zoe has also tried dance, karate, and swimming, always proving that passion beats physical limitations. She doesn't just participate, she competes. Zoe's life isn't without challenges. She has faced bullying stares and constant questions from strangers who underestimate her. But instead of hiding, she uses her story to educate others. Her confidence became her shield. Over time, she gained a powerful companion, a service dog named Mochi, trained to help with certain tasks. But here's the twist. Even with Mochi, Zoe still insists on doing as much as possible by herself. Independence isn't just a skill for her, it's her identity. She shows the world that disability does not mean weakness or helplessness. Today, Zoe Bosanic is a symbol of fearless self-belief. She proves that strength isn't about what your body looks like, it's about what your spirit can do. She was born different, but she never saw herself as less. She didn't wait for the world to adapt to her. She adapted to the world in her own way. Zoe's story forces us to rethink everything we believe about ability. These women were born different, but instead of hiding, they turned their uniqueness into unstoppable power. From Caitlin mastering makeup with no arms or legs, to Zoe playing baseball with her feet, to Mama Cax owning the runway with a prosthetic leg, each of them broke every rule society tried to place on them. Their stories aren't about tragedy, they're about transformation. They proved that beauty isn't perfection, it's resilience, confidence, and courage. And if they can rise above judgment and pain to change the world, what excuse do we have for doubting ourselves? So tell me, is normal truly beautiful, or is different the real superpower? Subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence and join the debate.